Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and welcome to the third installment of a Power Ranger Holiday Special review.
This is gonna be awesome.
The infamous Zeo Christmas Special raises a lot of debate in the Ranger fandom. Kimberly and Tommy fans hate it.
Hey, wait a minute. What's that supposed to mean?
Some even claiming it's just not canon, it's just made up. They hate it because it shows Tommy and Catherine a flash forward to their life together and they have grandchildren, showing that they end up together. Now, for years and years, this was just a debate because there was nothing really proving it, but over time, we've had more and more evidence of this. Boom Comics' Soul of the Dragon came out, which features Tommy and Catherine being together with their son JJ, who has become an SPD officer. This comic shows Tommy sort of letting go of his powers, passing on his shield to JJ, going into retirement with his wife Catherine. And this comic book character JJ has now been referenced several times in the actual live action show.
JJ, I thought I told you not to leave your bike here.
Sorry, Dad.
It's okay, kiddo.
1 minute, I'm helping out at JJ's junior karate camp.
And there's even been a 30th anniversary comic that came out showing the story of Kat and Tommy together, their relationship, getting married. And that comic, as well as Soul of the Dragon, are both considered canon to the live action universe. In recent Power Ranger news, we all have heard about the Amy Jo Johnson comic book that has recently been discussed about the new character Olivia Hart, which will be the brand new Green Ranger. Now, honestly, we don't know much about it. This is completely considered to be a different universe, so it really doesn't have anything to do with this. And I have nothing really to talk about that until we really get more information on the characters. So maybe I'll do a video when I know more about it. This episode was also written by Jackie Marchand. She worked for Power Rangers for a really, really long time, doing writing early on in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers era, all the way up to doing some producing and things in Jungle Fury and a little bit in RPM. If you checked out my Jungle Fury season breakdown, you'll know more about Jackie's story. But the point I really want to make is that this is not a one-off writer. She didn't just write one episode and get out of there. She is someone who is credited as really building this franchise and being a big part of the story. So if Jackie says it's true, then it's true.
Oh yeah, well I'm just gonna take my tamales and get out of here.
Fatality.
This Christmas special was directed by Robert Radler. Now, in the New Zealand era of Power Rangers, they kind of got a standard set of directors that they really liked working with. You know, a season have 3 or 4 directors who do, you know, a bunch of the chunks of these episodes. But back in the 90s, oh no, absolutely not. They would film 3 to 4 episodes at a time, and there are a ton of people who have never directed before 3 or 4 episodes of Power Rangers, and then never again did they ever direct. Always interesting to see the people who direct these early on episodes. Robert actually really got his start doing a lot of music videos. Haim Saban was a big musician, so I would assume he probably got this job meeting Haim somewhere in the music world, but I don't know. Now, Robert isn't just a one-off director. He did 11 episodes in Mighty Morphin, I believe just in season 3. He did the 3-part series, A Different Shade of Pink, working with Kimberly moving into Catherine being the Pink Ranger. And then he also did the 3-part series of Master Vile and the Metallic Armor, which is really kind of cool because the Metallic Armor, very short-lived. If you're a big fan of TED Talks, Robert has a TED Talk that he did. He talks about some of the documentaries he's worked on, but he does give a little behind the scenes information about Power Rangers, which I would have never known had I not watched this.
Commercials, music videos, Ford's first 3D ad, and even the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. No need to clap. For about a year, my son Ben thought I was the coolest dad in the world, and let me show you why. Ben, at this point, was defending the Zeo crystals from the evil master Vile. Cannot remember the galaxy, but I'll get back to you on that.
He wants the Zeo crystal.
Ranger, the Zeo crystal is one of the most powerful forces in the universe.
Thousands of years ago, the people of Galaxy M51 hid it from Master Vile deep inside the Caves of Deception. They then placed a force field around the crystal.
It's honestly pretty cool to see him mention Power Rangers and not have any sort of regret about that. He also did 11 episodes of Power Rangers Zeo, which of course includes this Christmas special that we're looking at right now. And it would not be a Power Rangers Christmas or holiday special without some continuity issues. Every single one of the Christmas specials so far, jacked up canon. depending on the air date when the VHS was released. This episode really is no exception. It's very confusing about what episode number it really is. IMDb has it at episode 50. Ranger Wiki has it at 29. Power Rangers official YouTube channel has it at 49 currently. Now, originally when this episode was made, production said, well, storyline-wise, it takes place between episode 25 and episode 33. Now, way down the road when they released it on DVD, they reordered the episodes and it became episode 29. The reason why this is so confusing is because it's actually the last episode that aired on TV for Power Rangers Zeo. Good as Gold was technically the sort of finale of Zeo. That aired on November 23rd, 1996, when this holiday special aired November 27th. And maybe this is why Zeo didn't feel like it had an actual wrap-up. In this special, you don't have Jason as the Green Ranger, and Billy isn't in it either. Now, a couple things are worth noting about the special. Just like I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, there is no morph in this episode. And this, sadly, is the last holiday special that will be aired in Power Rangers until Saban bought the franchise back from Disney in 2010, and then they had a Christmas special 2011 for Power Rangers Samurai. 14 years later. That's crazy. Let's get into the episode. Now, it starts off with a narration, and it's Jason David Frank doing his best old man impersonation when he talks. A little boy comes up to him and calls him Grandpa, and he says he hopes that Santa brings lots of presents this year. And Tommy says, oh, that reminds me of a very special Christmas that took place. Not the Christmas that you literally saved Santa Claus and his whole all the elves. That's not the story you're going to tell your grandson? You're going to tell this one, where you sat in a juice bar the whole time? All right. By the way, I also covered that one, so if you want to check it out, I highly recommend it. It's like one of my favorite videos. But he starts to tell his grandson this story. A holiday celebration is taking place at the youth center where they're celebrating all sorts of different cultures and different holidays around this time and how they're celebrated. We see the juice bar owner, Ernie, and the Power Rangers friend, Raymond. Raymond was a character that only showed up in 3 episodes of Zeo, one of those being Mean Screen, which is coincidentally the same people who wrote I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, which you may think, well, why is that weird? It's only weird because they only wrote 2 episodes ever in Power Rangers. I believe those 2 actually worked mostly in the ADR department at the time of Power Rangers. Raymond is played by Darren Press, and he has a very small IMDb page, but there is one other show that he has listed on there, and that is Big Bad Beetleborgs. He appears in the season 1 episode Monster Rock. So his character name is actually just Drummer, but they call him Sticks in the episode. A lot of drummers have the nickname Sticks. Personally, I don't. I just never have that as my nickname, but I'm a drummer. And he's the drummer of Roland's favorite band, the... Oh, man. Torpedo! What was it again? Torpedo! Oh, this is embarrassing. Torpedo! Ooh. Yeah, maybe I'll get it later. Now, you got to do a lot of classic Scooby-Doo like scenes in the Monster Mansion with all the Hillhurst monsters. Now, I do want to note that he has some of the best like memes you can take away from anybody, because he just does all his lines with so much enthusiasm. Because what?
It's gonna be a mega hit. No problem, man.
I also want to note that they make a direct Spinal Tap reference. Oh, it's so great.
11, shall we? Ready.
It seems like all the roles he actually has a pretty decent amount of speaking lines. I mean, Raymond in Power Rangers didn't have a lot of episodes, but he was kind of a big part of the episodes. And maybe some of that has to do with the fact that the year he was on Power Rangers is the same year he started working as a digital designer for Warner Brothers Online, doing a lot of online marketing work. Did that for 1 year, and then he moved on to doing a handful of companies over the years, doing advertising for stuff like Oakley Sunglasses, Mercury Fitness, Travel Group, who does Royal Caribbean, Universal Orlando Resort. But currently he is the director of marketing for software and advanced technology at Intel Corporation. And you know, it's honestly always really sad to me to see an actor have to take a day job, and it seems like life really isn't going too well for this guy, considering he's been away from acting for so long. But hey, Darren, Ranger fans are here for you, man. We would love to see you at a convention, you know, maybe help you get off your feet a little bit, and get you back into that acting world where you obviously want to be, you know. Rocky's excited for all the food, which I didn't realize, is that like a main part of his personality? I guess I need to rewatch Zeo and really think about it, because he seems to be talking about food a lot.
And not to mention all the great food we get to eat. And now, the food.
Hello, I just heated my lunch.
Oh, shrimp.
They mention that Billy is at a family reunion, which does explain his absence from the episode, except for the fact if you watched it when it aired in November, he's already at Aquitar at this point, so they really didn't need to say anything about that. So it's a little confusing if you're watching it as a kid. But now that they've reordered the episodes, I guess it's okay. Tommy now tells his grandson about Bulk and Skull, which maybe raises the question, how does he know this part of the story considering he wasn't there? But in the 10th anniversary special, Forever Red, we do see that Bulk and Skull obviously know that Tommy's a Power Ranger. They kind of seem to be working with him a little bit.
Excuse me, sir.
At some point, it's reasonable to say that they all sat down and started exchanging war stories or talking about things that were happening back then. Tommy learned about this by them just sitting by the pool and chatting. Skull says he wishes there was circular wrapping paper.
I wish somebody would invent wrapping paper with round edges.
And you know, I actually thought maybe I should look up if this exists now. No, it doesn't.
Nice try.
But it's too bad that there's nobody around that could have explained to Skull how to look this type of stuff up.
Now this is called a website. You can get information on all kinds of things, and all you gotta do is double click the mouse.
Oh, wow.
And there you go. It's really cool.
Sorry, got a bit sidetracked there.
What was I talking about?
Lieutenant Stone comes in and he gives them the case of the missing fruitcakes. Bulk and Skull are kind of a strange part of Power Rangers because in season 1, they're really just bullies. They don't really have much of a personality besides the fact that they just have cakes and slushies and things thrown in their face all the time. But in season 2, they go after trying to find the identities of the Power Rangers. It was a really good motivation for them to do something a little different, because watching a whole nother season of like 60 episodes where they're just getting cakes thrown in their face, and even though they still do some of that stuff, it just at least gives them something to do. Season 3, they did the junior police, and then now in Zeo, they are private detectives with Lieutenant Stone at his private practice. And I really do think that their dialogue gets better and better.
Someone's been lifting fruitcakes all over town.
Must be pretty strong. My Aunt Millie makes fruitcakes, and I know you're gonna need a crane to lift one of those puppies.
Now, it's listed on Ranger Wiki that they reuse a shot of outside of the command center from Alpha's Magical Christmas. I didn't find the shot, but maybe I just missed it. I don't know. And of course, I have a video on Alpha's Magical Christmas, and boy, did that seem like there were a lot of production issues with timing wise, and you just have to watch it and see. I have a little bit of theory on how all that came together. We see Alpha and Zordon exchanging gifts. So sweet. Back at the youth center, we're learning all about
Hanukkah.
Kwanzaa.
I think it's interesting to see what we have in common.
Prince Sprocket comes in, he hits them with the biased ray. Now, the dialogue that comes up after this is probably not very PC by today's standards, but if you get hit with a biased ray, I mean, it makes perfect sense why you would say some of those things.
You know, a lot of countries don't even celebrate holidays this time of year. Like Korea. I don't even know what I'm doing here.
I should have known this would never have worked out.
Whatever.
I don't care how any of y'all spend your holidays.
I am sick of all of this.
Everything's working out well.
And then we shift back and forth, a couple scenes from the command center, some scenes with Bulk and Skull finding remnants of fruitcake.
Now we know our suspect likes fruitcakes. What does that tell us about him? That he's my Aunt Millie. No, fruitcakes, there's bound to be a trail of crumbs. My Aunt Millie's fruitcake's pretty crummy. Will you quit it with Aunt Millie already?
The Machine Empire teleporting all the religious objects away from the juice bar. Sort of a Grinch Who Stole Christmas idea, except for the Machine Empire never learns from their mistakes.
Perfect!
At the juice bar, a young girl shows up. She has a poster that she drew of people of all different races, you know, holding hands, being together. She doesn't understand why the Rangers are fighting. Catherine, even with this biased ray, she is just such a nurturing person. She can't help but go up to this girl and kind of sort of try to comfort her a little bit.
I'm sorry, sweetie.
But then you see Rocky's reaction. That guy couldn't give a crap.
You got a lot to learn, kid.
She sings a song and breaks the spell. All the Rangers realize, oh my gosh, we were under a spell. Everything we said wasn't what we really were thinking. Except Raymond doesn't know that.
What I was saying was just not cool. I don't know what got into me.
I think I have an idea.
He's just gonna live the rest of his life thinking, remember that one time around Hanukkah where I was a real jerk to my friends? I feel horrible about that. That's one of those things he's going to wake up in the middle of the night and he's just going to think about that and be like, oh man, am I a horrible person? The Machine Empire sees that love can destroy their spell, which raises a question. I mean, I'm the conspiracy guy. I got to talk about this. This bias ray was a spell, so it's kind of magic, but they're robots. So robots are able to access magic, which kind of raises my theory about magic being a connection to the morphing grid, because if you can connect through the morphing grid through electronics, whether it's, you know, you activating teleporting or, you know, morphing with an electronic device, that means that they must be able to, as robots, access the morphing grid. Now, that's kind of a theory that I've explained more in my Alpha's Magical Christmas video. So check that out if you want to kind of get into that debate. Bulk and Skull finally come to the end. They find this giant fruitcake that apparently Rito and Goldar have concocted all the fruitcakes in town and made one giant fruitcake for them.
Oh, gee, guys, thanks.
Rito and Goldar kind of have this overboard situation where they have amnesia and they can't remember who they are, and they've just been living and following Bulk and Skull throughout this time. Bulk says, well, we're going to have to replace all this fruitcake around town since they're the ones who now have it. Skull pulls out a very Get Smart inspired shoe phone.
Oh, Aunt Millie! Oh, it's you, G!
At this point in time, Bulk and Skull are hitting like their stride. They are so funny. Their delivery is so good. Just the way that Jason Narvi says, it's Eugene.
Oh, it's Eugene!
It just cracks me up. They're so funny. Back at the juice bar, everyone is chipping in. Raymond's getting the Christmas tree. Tommy and Kat get the menorah. Rocky and Adam get the Kwanzaa thing. They never state what it's called. They just kind of refer to it as like, oh, my thing. It's thank you. My thing's here. So if there's a name for it, somebody let me know, but they don't seem to know it in the show. Everything's wonderful. Everybody's getting along. It's a beautiful ending to the story. Now we flash back forward and it's revealed at this point that, oh my gosh, this is Tommy. Catherine comes out of the other room. It's their grandson together, and their grandson is wearing the most 90s shirt I think I've ever seen. The doorbell rings and in walks a young man. And for a lot of years, people debated maybe that's JJ, or at the time they didn't know JJ's name, but they said, oh, that's their son. But his dialogue clearly states that he's not their son.
Hey, Grandma. Mom and Dad said to say hi. Okay, little bro, let's go.
So these two kids might be the children of JJ and his wife, or possibly Agatha, who we see in the Zeo quest, who is a descendant of Catherine. So we kind of have to assume Catherine and Tommy now. A communicator sound goes off and their unnamed grandson asks if they can watch the pipsqueak for a little bit longer. And he has an original wrist communicator that was designed by Billy. At this point in time, we now know that SPD has gone around, and obviously this guy's dad or uncle is an SPD officer or a former SPD officer. It is clear that he is not a part of SPD. So maybe there's a rogue faction of Rangers or a couple different groups out there who just kind of operate on their own. Maybe it could be a group that's being run by Justin, or maybe Ethan if they're, you know, in Reefside. The older grandson is played by Trey Fernald. Now, he isn't listed in IMDb anywhere, and it's by just sheer the internet going around finding this guy and people comparing, because he is now a pastor at a church, and there's a couple different things online that lead me to believe that this is for sure the right guy, because he has a YouTube channel where he was, I think, intending on doing a lot of kind of family-friendly comedy videos, but it really just was one video. It's him playing basketball against a bunch of kids, and he's being very competitive and over the top with it, but it's clean comedy, and that's kind of the idea, is it's family-friendly. Now, as a kid, I feel like I definitely remembered a morphing sound when he went out the door, or a flash of red light indicating he was a Red Ranger, but that was just an example of when you watch something as a kid, you sort of remember things wrong, and when I rewatched it, none of that was in there. So I can't officially say he's a Power Ranger. It's heavily implied, but I can't put him on the list of obscure Power Rangers. And if you haven't seen that video, highly encourage you to watch it, because it's a fun one. You know, there's a lot of people you didn't know were Power Rangers. Now, this is the first holiday special that was not released on VHS at the time of airing, but it did eventually get a VHS release, year 2000 video release of the holiday specials, which also involves Alpha's Magical Christmas and I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, both of which I've already covered. You should check out that playlist because it's really fun. Hey, Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all of you. Thank you so much for being a part of this channel. I'll see you. I'll see you in the new year. Merry Christmas. Bye.